If you've ever trusted the wrong people, family, lovers, anyone, this story is going to hit you hard. Hit that like button, subscribe, and strap in because what you're about to hear isn't just revenge, it's justice. And it's deliciously savage. My name is Marie. I'm 39 now, and people know me as the founder of one of the fastest growing interior design firms in the region. But before all the magazine interviews, the TED Talks, and the top 40 under 40 lists, I was just a woman clawing her way out of nothing. No fancy degrees. No investors. Just grit, instinct, and caffeine-fueled nights spent designing living rooms in my studio apartment until my eyes blurred. Back then, my circle was tight. My younger brother, Jason, 2 years my junior, was my anchor. We grew up in a broken home, where love felt like a prize you had to earn. But Jason and I had each other. Always. And then there was Alex. God, Alex. The charming, brilliant, soulful architect I met at a networking gala. He listened like every word I said was gospel, and when he smiled at me, it felt like the world paused. It wasn't just a relationship. It was a dream. My business was thriving. My love life was storybook perfect. And my family, even with its scars, was intact. Or so I thought. If only I'd known that behind all those smiles, two of the people I trusted most were plotting to gut my world from the inside. It started subtly. I'd be on a call with a client, quoting them a renovation timeline we had planned meticulously, only to find out later that Alex had updated it without telling me. At first, I chalked it up to miscommunication. Jason, who I brought into the company as a junior partner, began getting defensive in meetings, talking over me, questioning my decisions in front of staff. But again, I told myself, he's probably just under pressure. It's funny how your brain works overtime to excuse the people you love. I kept giving them benefit after benefit of the doubt. But one night changed everything. It was a Thursday. I came home early from a client consultation that ended ahead of schedule. The lights were on. Laughter floated from the living room. Jason and Alex were sitting together, drinks in hand, and didn't hear me come in. I froze as I heard Alex say, "She'll never see it coming. She trusts us way too much." Jason laughed. "By the time she notices the missing funds, we'll have everything set up in our names. We just need another month." My heart didn't break. It detonated. And in that instant, I realized two things. I was living in a lie. I wasn't going to confront them. Not yet. I was going to watch, listen, and plan. Because if they wanted to play a game, they had no idea who they were up against. The next morning, I smiled like nothing happened.
Ikke said Alex.
I brought Jason his usual black coffee with a smile. I even approved a new project proposal they'd pitched. But inside, I was making moves. I hired a forensic accountant, privately. Told her I suspected embezzlement, but didn't want to go to the cops yet. She was discreet and damn good. Within 2 weeks, she uncovered transfers. Small, calculated amounts siphoned off invoices and funneled into shell accounts. Shell accounts tied to an LLC registered in both Alex's and Jason's names. They'd even faked a digital signature under my name on one of the vendor contracts. I had proof. Still, I said nothing. Because I wanted more than justice. I wanted to look into their eyes when they realized I'd outplayed them. While they thought they were fooling me, I started building my fortress. I met with my lawyer and transferred full legal ownership of the business IP and patents under a holding company in my name only. I updated all access logs and financial approval tiers, quietly removing Alex and Jason from back-end control. I even reached out to a few key investors and let them know changes were coming, just enough to build a silent army of support. I wasn't just protecting myself. I was tightening the noose. 2 weeks later, I hosted a dinner. A celebration. Jason and Alex thought it was to toast landing a new celebrity client. They had no idea it was their last supper. I invited family,
friends,
our core team. I even stood up to give a toast, praising Jason's brilliance, Alex's loyalty, and how proud I was to be building something beautiful with the people I loved. Then I clicked the remote behind my back. A projector flickered to life on the wall. On it, bank statements, emails, faked invoices,
audio clips.
The room went silent. Jason turned pale. Alex dropped his wine glass. And me? I finally stopped pretending. Jason stood frozen, eyes wide, pupils dilated like a cornered animal. Alex's jaw flexed, his go-to-tell when he was trying to control his anger. But he couldn't hide the twitch in his hand, the tension vibrating through his spine. Everyone around the table was silent, their eyes bouncing between the screen and the two men now stripped of their masks. "You set us up," Jason finally hissed, his voice low and venomous. I tilted my head and smiled.
"No.
You set yourselves up. I just made sure the spotlight was on." Alex stepped forward, his voice tight. "Marie, we can explain. Explain how you've been stealing from me for 6 months?" I cut in, my voice sharp but calm. "How you forged my signature, rerouted client payments, and opened a business using my designs and client list?" Gasps from around the room. My best friend Emma clutched her chest. My assistant turned red with anger. The betrayal wasn't just personal. It had bled into our business, our people, our community. "I loved you," I said, this time directly to Alex. "I was planning a future with you, and you were planning to gut me like a fish." His mouth opened and closed. No words came. Jason, coward that he was, stood and stormed out. I let him go, because the walls were already closing in. By the next morning, our company Slack was on fire. Whispers turned to outrage. Every department head had seen the evidence. HR filed immediate terminations for both Jason and Alex. Our legal team delivered breach of contract notifications. They were barred from the premises within 24 hours. But it didn't stop there. The holding company I'd set up? It was now the sole claimant to the IP Alex had tried to pitch under his name. He and Jason had attempted to register designs stolen from my archives for their own firm, Nova Nest Interiors. Too bad I had already copyrighted every single file. By day 3, Nova Nest was issued a cease and desist order. Their accounts were frozen pending investigation. Their website, shiny and smug, was taken offline. Clients pulled out. Deals collapsed. Word spread fast. Alex sent me a dozen messages. "Let's talk, please." It got out of hand. "I didn't mean to hurt you. It was Jason's idea. We can fix this. We were a team." No, we weren't. We were never a team. Jason, my brother, he went darker. He posted online that I had fabricated everything, that I was unstable, paranoid, and obsessed with control, that I was jealous of his success. The worst part? Some people believed him at first, because he had that disarming smile, that golden child energy, the way manipulators do. But truth is patient, and it doesn't need to shout. I released an internal memo, factual, clean, and brutally clear, documenting every audit trail, every manipulated invoice, and every fraudulent wire transfer. We submitted everything to law enforcement. Jason was arrested 3 weeks later. Money laundering, corporate theft,
fraud.
His face made the local news. Mom called me crying. "You didn't have to ruin him," she sobbed. "He's your brother." I stayed silent, because she hadn't asked what he did to me.
She only saw the fallout,
not the blood on his hands. Alex wasn't arrested, but his fall was quieter and somehow crueler. Without me, he had no anchor.
너를 피했다시젠.
He tried freelancing, burned every bridge he touched. The vendors he once charmed now saw the truth. He owed people money. Lawsuits followed. One of his former clients sued him for design plagiarism. And guess whose copyright was cited in the complaint?
미네.
He tried dating again, too. Rumor had it he told women I was a psycho ex who destroyed his life. Except my story had already gone viral. The TEDx talk I gave a month later, titled Trust, Betrayal, and the Power of Rebuilding. It hit 3 million views in a week. He couldn't outrun the truth. Not anymore. I won't lie. The months after the betrayal were brutal. I had nightmares. Some nights I'd wake up gasping, thinking I saw Alex in the doorway. Or Jason, smirking at me like it was all just a game. But I didn't hide from the pain. I went to therapy. I poured myself into my business, not to escape, but to heal. I created a new mentorship program for women in business. I gave bonuses to the employees who stood by me. I even took a month off to travel alone. Italy, Thailand, Morocco. I stood on cliffs and rooftops and busy night markets and reminded myself that I wasn't broken. I was reborn. And somewhere between Rome and Chiang Mai, I smiled again. For real. I met Daniel at a leadership summit in Lisbon. He was nothing like Alex.
No sleek charm.
No grand gestures. Just quiet confidence, steady energy, and the kind of kindness that asks for nothing in return. He listened without interrupting, asked questions instead of talking about himself. When I told him my story, he didn't flinch.
He said,
"You didn't just survive. You architected your comeback." We started dating a few months later.
Slowly, carefully.
He never tried to save me, and I never asked him to. This time it was real. A year after the confrontation, I ran into Jason at our mother's house. He was out on bail, still awaiting trial. He looked smaller. Not physically, but energetically. Like the ego that once consumed every room now barely filled his own skin. "You think you won," he muttered when we were alone in the kitchen. I didn't answer right away. Then I turned to him and said, "Winning implies there was ever a game worth playing. This was never a game, Jason. It was my life. And you threw it away for what? A shortcut?"
He didn't respond.
Because cowards rarely do. Alex sent me a letter. Not an email, not a text. A handwritten letter in shaky penmanship. "Murray, I don't expect forgiveness, but I want you to know I've never stopped loving you. I was stupid,
Greedy.
and I destroyed the one good thing I ever had." He closed by saying he was leaving the industry, going back to his hometown, starting over.
I didn't reply.
Some people need to sit with what they've done, alone, just like I had to sit with the pain they gave me alone. But I came out stronger. Some scars aren't shameful. They're sacred. Last week, I stood on stage at an awards gala. We were named National Design Firm of the Year. My team stood beside me, cheering, crying. And as I looked out at the sea of faces, I thought back to the version of me who once curled up on her shower floor, shaking and shattered. She wouldn't believe where I am now. But I do, because I built it, brick by brick, scar by scar. Betrayal doesn't define you. Your comeback does. And sometimes the sweetest revenge is rebuilding so well, the people who broke you can't even recognize your strength anymore. If that gave you chills, hit like, subscribe, and tell us in the comments, what's the most satisfying revenge you've ever seen? And don't forget, every week, we bring you real stories of justice served, pain turned to power, and the ultimate glow-ups. See you in the next one.